like it was like a movie, like slow-mo glass. I went out, but it pulled me right back in. I'm a true believer, if your heart isn't in it, then don't tap back into it. So much beautiful talent here in my community. I'm gonna make an outlet for people to not only like expose their artistry, but ask these cats like, yo, how you really doing?
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the FawrOut Perspective Podcast. I'm Kurt Architect.
It's your boy Y2 times your girl's favorite ex.
That's right.
Ooh.
That's right. God damn it. And we're back with another episode of the FawrOut Perspective Podcast. We do have a special guest on with us today. I'm inspired by him. He's a creative in the city. He has his own podcast that's been running for quite some time, the As of Late podcast with Titus. If you haven't seen him by now, I'm pretty sure somebody you know in the city that's a creative, whether they're an artist, singer, songwriter, business owner, some sort of creative in the city. He is a name here. He does have a platform that's pretty notable. Again, I take notes from him. The As of Late podcast, he's had the Loop West of the World on there, De Niro Ferrar, Autumn Rainwater. Anybody that's somebody in the city of Charlotte that's a creative in that bag, in that realm of just creating music and creating in general, they've been on his platform. So I'm honored. I'm blessed to have, my guy Titus at the As of Late podcast. On with the FawrOut Perspective Podcast today.
What's going on, Titus?
Fellas.
What's up, man? I appreciate you being on, man.
I'm gonna run through a brick wall with that intro. That's what I'm
I appreciate you being on, man. Like, for us getting into this space, I always try to communicate FawrOut. First, it was like it's not just a battle rap thing, and now it's like, well, we're not just a podcast. So, trying to really get it to be trying to get it across to people to know that it's more than like a podcast. It's a whole brand, an umbrella under this media company that we're working to create called FawrOut. So as you know, FawrOut is for the talented, unique, and misunderstood. So I like to kind of target that alternative black crowd. So people that may have felt a little strange, a little awkward back in the day, felt like an outcast, but maybe had something really dope about you. Like my boy Y2 times, y'all see the current episode we have out with Peyton. He's in the anime. He's into different things. He's still black. He just got different things with him that makes him dope and unique. So this message just could continuously push that out as far as kind of creating this community here, what FawrOut is. And when I think of what FawrOut is, I think of creators like my boy Titus with the As of Late podcast. So getting into that, I just want to kind of know how you got started with doing your brand, your podcast, with the As of Late podcast. What was the inspiration behind it?
Well, the inspiration behind As of Late, I started it, crazy enough, I started As of Late around COVID. Like when the pandemic had firstly hit around, I never forget it because it was like the week after Kobe Bryant had passed away.
Damn, everybody remember that time.
For sure.
Yeah, rest in peace to Kobe. That was like my Jordan. I grew up on him in that era.
Sure.
I'm at an age where it's like I remember the aura of Jordan, but I grew up seeing Kobe.
Yeah.
And so like by the time I really paid attention to basketball, like Kobe was like Kobe. And so he was dominating. But that's another story for another time. Getting started with As of Late.
Kobe.
Yeah.
Crazy aces.
Mm-hmm. But I started around that time, man, and originally I was gonna have a guest. It was a friend of mine, a dude named Jono. He's another East Side dude like myself. I grew up on the East Side of Charlotte, and he would always be giving me these ideas of just like, man, like, because before the podcast, I actually myself was an artist myself. I used to do rap music and stuff like that in the city. And he always be wanting me to come back. He was like, yo, man, like, even come back, man, do that, man. I was like, man, like, I feel like I would be more in the avenue because I'm a true believer. If your heart isn't in it, then don't tap back into it.
Right.
And like I wasn't in love with it no more, but I'm in love with artists. I'm in love with hearing their story. And so I told him, like, if anything more, I would be, more of a mentor to people that have gone through those situations that I went through in the city of Charlotte and in life in general. And so he was like, yeah, man, like, that's dope. We should do a podcast. And I was like, yeah, man, I think you should be the co-host with it as well. And so around that time, he got into a car accident, got ejected, and died. Damn. And so I went through a very dark depression stage around that time because before he had got into an accident, got into a car accident, and somebody hit me head on with a Jeep. This was like right before 2020, right before the pandemic, like December, like it was like New Year's before New Year's Eve. And somebody hit me head on. And the only reason I didn't get ejected is because I had my seatbelt on. Like it was like a movie, like slow mo, like glass. And only I went out, but they pulled me right back in. So I was like, dang, that's crazy. And just like, I was dirty at that time, so I ran. Like, I ain't with it. Like, I got it.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
I got the heck out of dot. I'm limping and just like, I call my brother to pick me up. Like, man, pick me
Glass
up,
all
man.
in your phone. Gotta get them out of here.
For real talk, real spill. That's
real,
really how it
for
was.
real.
Like, I
Not the only
called
one.
him in the middle of like somewhere, like, yo, man, I got his ass, and just come get me, man. So, but fast forward, I suffered a lot of survival remorse because of that. Because when he got ejected, I was like, what? Like, he wasn't driving, and then after him, I had another friend named Hector, who died the same way. Like, he was drinking all day at Common Market, and like ended up. If anybody knows Common Market, it's like one of those Charlotte staples. It's like Cheers almost. You know?
Right.
It's a couple of them in the city of Charlotte, but a lot of people go there to drink and network. And he had been there majority of that day. Same way like Jono got ejected and died off of Shamrock. And so like at that time I was like, man, what the heck is going on, man? Like, you go through stuff like that, it gives you a state of like, because I was still recovering mentally and physically, so I was like, I had a case of survival remorse to the degree where it was like, man, like, why am I still here, bro? Like, I was just in a really big stage of just like, why, like the dude, like, at that time, like, I ain't no saint. I'm a good dude, but at that time, like, I was just like looking at the person that had passed away, my boy Jono. I was just like, man, this guy, like, it's like seeing a baby pass away in that regard. You're just like, damn, like, you just don't have no answer for that. Like, man, like, how does something with so a pure soul pass away like that? And so I went through a dark stage, man, of like drinking heavy and just like because he was like a Charlotte staple. Like, if you around the east side. Like, you probably, because he was in a wheelchair. This dude was in a wheelchair. And so, like, a lot of people around that area, like, Plaza Midwood knew the dude. And so, like, it's a big mural of him actually on Common Market. And so, like, dealing with that, like, a lot of my close friends, we all were dealing with went to heavy drinking. And it got to a point where just, like, I was going from drinking, like 8 packs to 12 packs. Because then COVID happened. And so, like, at that time, I was working at Common Market, and so I was like, well, dang, like, because after Common Market, I was living a bartender life because I was pretty much helping people with beers and stuff like that. But after Common Market, I would go to the bar, and so it was like when the pandemic happened, I was like, I still had that alcoholic itch in me, and so that's why I was saying, like, I went from like drinking 8 packs by myself to 12 packs by myself. Get one thing at 1,800, two thing at 1,800, and like then looking at it in the morning, like, dang, I drunk both of these. Like, what the heck's going on? And so I looked at it to where it's like, yo, man, I need to get to the root of this, cause like something in my spirit, even though like it just got disgusting, bro. It got to a point where like I could feel in my spirit like it wasn't satisfied. And it wasn't satisfied because I didn't deal with the grieving. And so, like, I dealt with the grieving. I acknowledged what I had going on was alcoholism because, like, throughout my life, I struggled with addiction. And really, alcoholism is something that ran in my family. That's the last thing that I had to cut loose. And so, with that, when going through that transition, I thought about the podcast because I was like, man, like, when I finally got delivered from it, I was like, man, there's probably so many people that's going through this. And so, originally, like, that's what came in my mind. I was like, man, we should talk about this. We should talk about like the struggles of like dealing with like the pandemic and trying to be creative and being a creative, dealing with alcoholism and like and all this stuff. Because everybody was like in a rut. This when like Clubhouse blew up because everybody was at home like, hey, what's going on? And, like having all these meetings and stuff on Clubhouse. And so like majority of the people that I was talking to was artists and they were cooped up and they were depressed and they were going through addictions. And, COVID either exposed a lot or it made a lot of healing come into effect with a lot of people. And so with that, like, I was like, man, like, this is, if anything from COVID, I'm going to heal from this process. And so, like, I thought of Jono. I was like, man, like, the podcast came in my mind. I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to do it for him because if anything, like, this dude, he did stand-up. That man was rapping. Hence now, like I said, he never asked for no help, no handout. He was in a wheelchair doing all this, took the bus everywhere. And so I was like, man, like, I know for a fact if this man was still alive, he'd want me to do this podcast. And so I ended up starting As of Late originally just like as a therapy session. The beginning stages of it is very disgusting. You know, like very in the sense of like very dark, because
Right.
like, I'm really like telling people my life. I'm being very transparent. You know, about the addictions and about, you know, just dealing with the depression of like being an artist and being out of a rut. And, you know, one episode led to three. You know, three led to five. I started getting people like my boy Marley. Shout out my boy Marley. He was like my first guest, where he was talking about his own depressions and stuff like that, because he's a creator himself. And so it went from there to where, you know, I would post them like how you guys are doing with FawrOut. You know, I post them on my story, go, hey man, like, you know, as of late, check it out. And it went from there to where people just start being like, hey man, like, I'd love to talk to you about it, because it really was just like a therapy session for people. That's really how it started.
Yeah, do something like a check-in, just the name as of late, like what's on your mental, what's been going on as of late. So yeah, do something like that.
Yeah. And the rest history just took off from there, because like I seen, as we were talking off air, like with like Nick, shout out to Nick that's off air, like we were talking about the market. I seen the market where it was at that time. At that time, like and shout out to all the podcasts that are doing their thing now. Shout out to y'all and other creators that are deciding to do that. At that time, the only person that was really like consistent in it was Jack of all spades with like Banks. Shout out Banks and the other two fellas that's doing that. And so I was like, man, like it ain't no market out here for like artists to really just like come on, because everybody can't talk to No Limit Larry. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody can't get on Power 98. Like they look over a lot of people, and then I love my city, but you know I know the politics of the game, and so it's like, man, like it's so much beautiful talent here in my community. Like I want to make an outlet for people to not only like expose their artistry, but to really ask these cats like, yo, how you really doing? Like how, like, you know, I know you got the show going on at Neighborhood Theater. I know you just released this project, but like, how you doing up here with all this? You know, what are the struggles that you deal with? And so if you watch the podcast, a lot of the time, like, we'll get into what they do as an artist, because if I'm bringing you on the podcast, I'm a fan of you already. So like, we'll get into what they got going on midway through the podcast, but the majority of it's just a conversation. Like it's really just me really checking in on them and asking them how they doing, and you know, telling me about their life and the struggles and the ups and downs, and that's really what took wind of it, because people felt a level like, you know, like how you guys, atmosphere is key. You know, they felt a sense of, I can relax. Like this doesn't feel like Vlad where it's an interrogation room. You know what I'm saying? So once people saw that, then it started to take wind. All right, you can trust this guy. This guy seems like a legit dude that really cares.
Yeah, I definitely got to witness that with Nia Janae. Shout out to Nia Janae. That was on your pod. I was there for that one, so I definitely got to witness that.
Shout out to Nia, man. Very talented.
She is, for sure. I think she's dropping some more music pretty soon, so we'll have her back on.
For sure.
Yeah. I did want to ask, like, just being connected with the city, like, you have, like, notable people, like Luke, that's a big act out of Charlotte with Dreamville. You got FawrOut, that's probably one of the first artists I seen out of Charlotte, you know, like on MTV Jams, well, back in the day. Yeah, that's like a timestamp right there. But MTV Jams, I seen FawrOut.
You tell me your age, bro.
I know, right? I know, right?
I ain't see it.
That's crazy from somebody still in their 20s. That's crazy.
I ain't see
in their 20s. But now you have like the Autumn Rainwater. That's like a notable R&B talent in the city as well.
Shout out to Autumn.
Yeah, so like, how do you get in contact? You just like you grow with these people. I know you were Charlottean, born and raised like East Side. So like, you just know them around the way, or like you just know people that know people that know people, or you just just cool.
It's really half and half, man. It's half and half. Some of these people like De Niro, I've known FawrOut for years, and so like some of those are just like from just people that's always rooting for you. Like I seen De Niro like back in the day when we were 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I seen him before the deal. I seen him take off. I seen him lose the deal. I seen him pick himself back up. Like he's genuinely like my cousin in regards of seeing like what he's done, and we're always rooting for each other. So when all this stuff was, he knows Jono. He knows the people that I'm talking about, because he was like, yo man, what's his name passed away. Like we, you know, when he got stuff going on with his family, vice versa. Right. And so he's actually another co-sign in a sense. Before the podcast started, was like, yo bro, like this is what you should do. Like, and that, like I see you doing that. Like if you're gonna do it though, do it right. Make sure you get like nice, you know, get some people that's legitimately gonna record you right. Make sure that you know really bring the audience in, because like I can see you really building something with that. And so like Some of them are like that, where it's organic, it's people I've known for years. And then some of them are where they'll actually reach out to me. You know, they'll reach out to me once it started getting to like, it was because I tell people all the time, consistency is key in anything that you do. And so when they start seeing people that, you know, as of late got to the point where it became like a web, to where even if they didn't know me personally, their homeboy or their homegirl was being interviewed by me, to where it was like, oh dang, like who is this guy? Like, oh, this is a podcast. And so a lot of the times, the other half of it would be that. It would be them reaching out to me through DM or being like, yo man, like I see what you're doing. I'm a new artist. I would love to get on here and, you know, like get to know you and all that stuff. And then the third thing is networking. Is really just being outside. Is really just being organic and just like Luke came to me. It was just at Fields', like one of Fields' album releases.
Shout out to Fields. I've seen him on here before too.
It was either at Fields' or like Mercury Carter. Mercury Carter had a show at Petra's. It was one of those two shows at Petra's, and he came and reached out to me and was like, yo man, I see what you're doing, what's the name? Like we gotta connect on that because of A, the track record of people that I had that he was familiar with, and then B, if you're someone that's looking to be on a podcast in the city, you can look it up and then it's like, okay, like I see he's been doing this thing consistently. And so it was that as well, just really like being out here. Like I tell people sometimes it's mixed the new school in with the old school. Still like, I just got off of socials, but like I still got, like YouTube. I still got the base on that where it's like, I still got I'm able to still connect with my audience in some fashion. And then mix the old school in, still go to some people's shows, man. Still, touch cats, because they see that. They see you at their shows, and it's like, oh man, like, dang, I seen Kurt at my show, man. I feel more comfortable coming to his podcast now. And so I think a lot of it was that as well. Like these cats would see me at spots and be like, yo, man, like, and the ego, taking the, like, this generation has done a better job than the previous generation of putting ego to the side and like, yo, man, I'm very transparent. And so, like, I'll tell cats, yo, man, I like what you're doing, man. You want to be on the podcast? Or, like, yo, I don't try to act like everybody know me because Charlotte is big. Charlotte is, like, it's big, but it's small at the same time. Like, I tell people, if I ain't getting no attention on the east side, go to Pineville. Go to Monroe, go to these outskirts cities and build your base up. Because then sooner or later, it's going to get to a point that where even if they try to act like they weren't seeing it, they got to respect it because other people are seeing it.
Got you. That makes sense. So just kind of building up credibility. We was talking about that off air right before we start recording. Credibility. So the whole thing of FawrOut. Again, I appreciate you really being on here with us today for sure. Always sharing and supporting, sharing the post, just commenting on something that's definitely appreciated. I did want to ask, with the whole gist of what our brand is and represents, what would you say made you like FawrOut, or when did you realize like, yo, like I got something with me that's different? Like, what was your FawrOut moment?
I like that.
Yeah, I guess I would say that.
The moment where I don't know, man. I think it came before I actually started doing like anything with the podcast. I think it came in that time when I decided to heal and be accountable. When I started backtracking and looking at like the stuff that got me through, I was like, there's a story here. I was like, this is something that I don't think a lot of people know these different type of realms dealing with certain things of spirituality and combining it with this new day and age of stuff in my community. And so I kind of realized that before I actually got into fully putting myself out there with social medias, because I wanted to be transparent and helping people. I originally started, before like that season before As of Late got started, I was on this spot on the south side called Brothers, where it's like an after school care, dealing with like cats that like, they got domestic abuse at their crib and they come in there and old school Yahoo Answers just talking to kids about like depression. Like you'd be surprised how many of these cats, like teenagers and stuff, think their world gonna end because like their girl broke up with them, or like this dude doesn't like her, or something like that. And so I realized I had something different dealing with that, like because I'm at an age where it's like they look at me as an elder, but they still respect me, like in the sense of like all right, this dude ain't no old head, but at the same time, he got some wisdom on him. So I'm like right in that tweener type of age bracket. And so when talking to the youth and talking to cats online and be like, yo man, like you're a good listener, that's when I feel like, all right, maybe I should take this into a bigger type of bracket, dealing with like a podcast in that room.
It's a hell of a far off story. I rock with it. My boy walked 2 times. Is identified as a person of far out as well.
Oh yeah, you want me to give me another reason why?
Yeah, give us Phil, man, or whatever question you might have had for Titus here.
What makes me far out?
Yeah, what makes 2 times far out?
I don't know, man. I always been funny, so I felt like that was always easy for me because when you grew up, back in the day, if you was a little fat kid, you had to be tough. You had to be able to slap, fight, and do all that shit, Or if you was funny, they left you alone. I took the funny route because I can't be out here fighting, doing all that shit. My mom, I go to church.
Yeah, understood.
My mom and stuff. You feel me? So, I would say just knowing what I was good at early really helped me out a lot. I always knew I could. I was a good talker. I could talk my way out of most situations. Some stuff I can't. Then we gotta do what we gotta do. But yeah, I really think, and once I learned that, probably like in middle school, when I think I made my teacher laugh. She was trying to send me to the office, and she was like, "Just get back in the classroom and shut up." And I was just like, "Good, because you can't call my mama again. Please don't." But yeah, just I knew I was far out at a young age because I could identify what I was good at early, and to this day, I still use that power and multiple other ones that I use. Connecting with people, I've always been a good people person. Yeah, and
you got good energy.
Yeah,
you came in there with good energy.
Oh yeah.
She said,
I tried to
don't piss this man up, man. Don't piss this man up.
He felt it, he felt it. But what I was gonna say is, even just what I was saying, good energy, all that stuff. You give it a compliment, bro. I don't even know what to say no more. Oh man.
My bad.
But yeah, so I did watch a couple of your, a few episodes because I always like to, I'd like to dig into what's going on and who we got on here. Of course, I watched the one with Naya on it. Gotta go see that one. I'm one of her biggest fans. If y'all FawrOut people didn't know already.
Naya, come back, please. All right. But
I did see that you said you talked about it a few times, so I know it's probably good. But you were married young, or you got married at a very young age?
I did.
And I want you to think, what was going through your head around that time when you was like, you know what, she got to be the one.
What was going through my head when I said she the one?
When you got on your knee, like you was like, yeah, basically, yeah,
Okay.
Just why so young? Did anybody?
Why
you see
so
anybody else get married young in your family, or you just she was all that in a bag of chips?
It's a combination of both. I'm another true believer of, time waits for no man.
Right.
And so I feel like if the chemistry is right, I'm not someone that's going to be dating someone for 4 or 5 years. You know what I'm saying? If I feel like it's a match, it could be a year, it could be 6 months. If God, the only thing that was a problem with that marriage is that I did it based on my will. I didn't ask God about my ex-wife. I moved on my own accord.
Yeah. And
when you're dealing with something like that matter, you need to, for me anyway, I can only speak from my own experiences, I would prefer for the next one, to get the cosign from the man upstairs.
Okay.
But dealing with why I did it in that fashion, I come from a family where, I'm the youngest of 6. And so, even though they remarried, my parents, they got married early.
Yeah.
My grandparents, they literally did death do you part. And so
okay.
They lasted till one of them died.
Yeah.
And so
So you seen
they got married early, 40, 50 years. And I seen that growing up. Uncles they got married with high school sweethearts. So I came from that kind of background.
Okay.
Of seeing that early on and seeing it consistently be good, with the exception, like I said, my own parents, those people were still married. And so I came from that background, and then like I said, I don't, just from the experiences, because at that time when I married her, I had just really healed from the heavier addictions. Because remember I told you I just stopped drinking for like 3 years.
Yeah.
This period with drinking now 3 years. But before that, I was like Rick James out here. I was on the bag, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was on lean. And so I had just quit doing all of that at that time.
Okay.
Like the heavier stuff, like, you know, weed, lean and all that. And I met her at a time where she had just quit all of that. You know, this is someone that I seen, like, you know, when I was, like I said, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. She was doing her thing. It's like she was in the, you know, she was out here a woman of the night. You know, she was doing her thing on that sense. So I met her from there. You know, she used to work at like Nikki's and all that.
Okay.
And so
Nikki's.
I built her.
Man.
Yeah, I literally pulled a T-Pain out here. He might have sung that. I literally was in love.
Yeah, no, I was living that life too. I
was in love.
You weren't the only one.
Like, I married one. Like,
yeah.
But she was transitioned out. Like she transitioned out to where like we met each other in the transitional stage of like realizing like this ain't it. Like I was like dealing with like a lot of fake shady people. Like I said, I was in the street life and I was like, this ain't it. And she was like doing stuff with her sisters and she was like, this ain't it. And so we kind of were going into our transition of getting in tune with Christ. And you know, like I said, like just communication was there, the loyalty was there. And I was just like, why wait? I was like, why wait? So I married her and, you know, I married her early.
That's a good speech. I'm about to text her right now. We can tomorrow. 3 months is long enough.
Yeah. Hey, I mean,
it's time.
Everybody's timing is different. Some people do 2 years.
Nope.
Like I said, everybody's timing is different. I don't judge nobody or nothing. My homie got married to a chick within a year. They just celebrated their 15th anniversary.
It happen like that though.
Sometimes it be like that.
I
know people that wait for 5 years and then they get divorced in 2. And so it's like it just depends. It depends who you're marrying. If you're marrying the right person,
okay.
You know?
So I make it to a year. Just pop the ring out. 15 years. Got it. I got the plan now.
Yeah.
I love quick, hard.
A lot of people are fascinated with the people that they're with.
Yeah,
they're not in love with the
right.
person that they're with. And I think that's what people come into friction with is when stuff hit the fan. Whether it be, you know, you may marry someone when you're 21, and are they going to accept your growing process?
Right.
When you're 25, when you're 30, you know what I'm saying? When you're 35. But a lot of people, either it's because of finances, people just grow apart. People are not transparent.
Right. Communication.
You know, communication is so key. You know, we didn't have communication. You know, like I was still like the streets were still calling me in that regard, and so like I wasn't communicating properly. I took her for granted. You know, in the sense of just like she was ready to really be a wife, and I was still outside. You know, I wasn't cheating on her with other women, but I was cheating her with time.
Right.
And so like that's just as bad.
Yeah, that's worse sometimes.
Yeah, we talking about that a lot.
That's what I'm about to say. That's what Peyton was saying. You know, on the last episode with Shot, she like people in love with the idea of her on like IG and stuff like that, but they don't really, you know her. See, I be listening.
Yeah, it's the idea of people. We are attracted to the idea of people, but you actually got to get to know the person under what they present themselves to be on social media or whatnot. So like, could be a whole nother person,
right?
You know,
social media is just highlights.
Yeah, man, that's just the highlight reel. You start sitting down with people like, ooh, like, I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, for real.
So this is the stuff I want people to see, like Titus, like the As of Late podcast, and like who you are more so as a person. Just a little dive into who you are. But I know you are from Charlotte. You're actually born and raised, right? Or were you born and raised?
I am. Yeah.
Okay.
Born and raised, Presby, baby.
Okay.
Now Novon.
Gotcha. Got you. So I do have that's a question. This is really about your musical background. I know you did do music, but just growing up in this region, who were some of your influences like growing up, or who did you just in the house grow up listening to? Your favorite?
That's a good question. My musical palette was very broad growing up because like I said, I'm the youngest, and so I was influenced by a lot of stuff my elder siblings were listening to. They grew up around like, you know, it could go from like you know, gospel to pop, you know, Mobb Deep, you know, Brandy.
Okay.
You know,
It's very far out.
you know, Tony, you know, Monica, you know, and so like it went from a lot of stuff like R&B, soul,
a lot of soul R&B
to as I got older, more like Still soul, but like more alternative, like
Neo.
you
So
know, like yeah,
mhm.
you know, like I guess Jill. I would consider Jill. I consider Jill Scott. Like she's alternative neo soul, and so like Jill and D'Angelo.
Mhm.
You know, and then until my teenage years, it was cats like Cuddy. Cuddy, I feel like changed the lane for it. It's a lot of mini Cuddys out here. You know, like
Yeah.
Wayne. You know, I seen Wayne. Like
About to say,
Wayne
gotta
to
be
me
in
is
there.
like the hip hop Michael Jackson. You know, like because I seen Wayne as a kid.
Yeah.
He was in a group, and he put Cash Money on his back. And he progressed, became the biggest star in the world.
The best rapper
Like-
alive.
Like Wayne to me was like, I like Jay. You know, all those guys are like what they are, but to me, like that was like how cats like compare like the Magic Bird era to when Michael Jordan came. Like the NBA with Magic and Bird, like it made it like national, to where it's like you had people watching from coast to coast. But like when Jordan came in the '90s with the NBA, like the NBA became global.
Mhm.
Like he became like a phenomenon. Like
Yeah.
cats were like the Michael Jordan, like, cause I watched The Last Dance, and like that was like Michael Jordan was like Michael Jackson of basketball.
Yeah,
Like
that's
that frenzy for him in the '90s was crazy. And so for me, like it was like Wayne to me was like hip hop's first like global superstar. Wayne run that '08 run, like quarter 3 run, like that thing was crazy. Like I remember seeing that, like when he signed Drake, when he signed Nicki, and it's like,
Exactly.
bro,
Yeah.
that dude was like the Black Beatles at that time.
For
Cats-
real.
It's
Cats
on fire,
like,
bro.
yeah, that's the first time where I was like, yo, this is like global. I know Cass was already doing overseas like money, but like I feel like I said with Jordan, that took like hip hop to like,
That was like my first no
Global
skip
type,
album too.
yeah.
Carter
They
3.
give a lot of Southern rappers like respect too, because everybody's like, oh, people in the South rap.
It's
different
T.I.
and stuff
I
like
think
that.
people forget about T.I.
But
though.
then Wayne came out and it's like, oh, he really rapping
yeah,
Yeah.
on everything.
You gotta give some respect to T.I. though.
yeah. T.I. always,
Yeah.
Cliff always get my respect.
Yeah, I feel like people forgetting about T.I. a little bit, man.
T.I. got
Well, trap
classics.
music. There we go.
Yeah, trap music, urban legend.
Mm-hmm. I'm
King,
serious.
I'm serious. Yeah.
T.I. versus Tip, that was a good album.
Yeah, very underrated album.
Yeah, people,
Yeah.
he had some hits on there.
Yeah, T.I.
Urban Legend.
Love
Mhm.
Urban Legend.
You don't know me, like
Right.
T.I. is up there, bro.
ASAP probably is like my favorite. Probably like if I had to like introduce somebody to hip hop and just get the idea behind it or like the cadence and how you should flow, that'd be one of the first songs I'll play for somebody.
Who?
ASAP by T.I. Just the whole second verse, how he rhymes, it's the same rhyme scheme, but like every word, like it's the same scheme.
I was gonna say I'll put the Amigos if they want to know how to rap now. I'll throw Amigos and Future in the booth and say go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Figure it out.
This generation, you
For
know.
sure.
Figure it
Migos.
out.
Rest in peace, take off.
Where do y'all put Migos in the sense of like groups? Because it's
They
like-
up there for me.
Right under.
That's what I grew up under, kind of. Well, we all damn the same age, so.
Honestly, I would put them right. Ooh, shoot, this is gonna be crazy to say.
Say that
As
shit.
far as
Cause it's like
as far as reach,
style-wise,
as everybody say, as far as reach and all that, I put them above Outkast as far as like reach. Let's think about it. The Amigos get played everywhere.
Outkast can play that.
Nah, I've been on the West Coast. They like Outkast. But you gonna hear Hannah Montana a million times.
Outkast is definitely
Well, Migos had to play.
I'm talking about as far as like reach.
And
though.
they had the benefit of.
We talking about
internet,
rap
too.
is different, but I'm talking about just like as far as
Yeah, I
like,
get that. They had internet.
touching
too,
people.
so-
Yeah, they had the internet.
Yeah, so I get it.
Bad and Bougie's in India right now.
Still getting played.
Somebody's playing
Yeah,
that
that's like
as we
niggas right
speak.
here.
right now.
Exactly.
Damn.
I get what you're saying as far as reach, because like again, this is a different area. This is a different era of
It's a
hip hop
different
because
area.
of cats like Wayne. They're getting paid crazy amounts of money more
Mhm.
just for like, shows. They don't even need like you can take the crappy like deal. That's why I tell people in the beginning when they talk about these crap deals, I'm like, everybody's not independent, bro.
Right.
Everybody doesn't have that mind frame to be an independent artist, and even independent artists aren't independent because even with this, even if you're doing your thing with this, teamwork make the dream work. You got a team that's
Yeah.
behind this outlet.
Absolutely.
And everybody don't want to do all that work, So they may take the label deal, but in the end, their show money is probably what's keeping them alive.
Mhm.
Absolutely. That's facts, man. So being I do see you as a person with a big platform here in the city as far as podcasting, Like, we're such an untapped market. We have so much potential, especially podcasting. Everybody's welcome to have their own lane and really thrive in it. I was telling you off air, like, I want my thing to be, you know, more than just, we're not just a podcast. I want to introduce things to people as we roll out the year. But being a creative in the city, I wanted to ask you, what do you see, like, next for Charlotte? Like, blowing up, do you think it'll take, like, maybe just a do-rag fest type of thing, or just like another artist to really blow? Like, I think of Tia Cream, right out of Winston. She got the song Freaky T. That's like popping everywhere. That's right up the street.
Shout out to Tia.
T.
Shout out to Tia. Arnold Taylor.
Hell yeah, South Coast Music Group. So what do you see for the city of Charlotte just moving forward? 'Cause we did have the baby pop and blow up and really put the four on the map on the international level. So
There we go. He definitely did. Shout out to Kurt, man.
absolutely. So what do you see as a person here kind of cemented, I would say, in our media space? What would you say is kind of next for Charlotte?
Let me ask you this before I answer that. Do you put Kurt in a Rushmore because of the achievements that he's done?
Kirk for Charlotte?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I put Jonathan Kirk on there for Charlotte. Mount Rushmore.
He a pop star now. He passed rap.
Yeah,
I
he's
put
crossed that barrier.
Yeah, once you cross that barrier, you good.
Once you're
Yeah.
Grammy nominated, you know.
It's really
and
like-
not that I care about that, but like that's a
Yeah.
whole different
I
plateau.
mean, it's him. Oh, who we got? Him, Jodeci,
Anthony
Sunshine.
Hamilton.
You could Sunshine Anderson. Who?
Anthony Hamilton.
Anthony Hamilton.
Come on.
Anthony
Yeah.
Hamilton.
Can't forget.
And Ants definitely crossed that. But I'm talking like in the realm of hip hop. Like
Yeah, hip hop. Yeah, the baby gotta go on our Mount Rushmore. He's the first to really. The Bop song. He's wearing the Larry Johnson jersey in the whole video. So yeah, he's there. That's quite.
But I was just curious your response to that. That's something I ask people. But and you were asking in the realm of what?
Like for us to kind of like pop. So we had the baby, you know, we're like an emerging, like people know Charlotte, but we still, you know, we struggle with our identity and culture. So like
yeah.
with the podcast space, with the like events like the Do-Rag Fest, with events they do like Dublin SWAT at Camp North End. I think they have a running event now, the lady that helped part of Dublin SWAT at the Mint Museum. I think they have some sort of show going on right now. So like, what do you think would be our next thing to like? Oh, that's Charlotte. That's some Charlotte shit. Like, what would it be like? You think our route's gonna be like podcasting or events, or like maybe another artist? I guess is what I'm trying to propose. Just trying to see what would take Charlotte like. You know what I mean?
We need a
A
TikTok
festival. Like, what would it be to really give us out there?
TikTok.
I think it's gonna be a combination of all of those at once. I honestly think it's gonna be how I see how certain cats is moving. Don't be surprised if it's a show. You know, don't be surprised if it's like not like on the sense of like in Atlanta in that regard. Not in that regard where it's like it's solely based about Charlotte kind of stuff. But don't be surprised if it's people from Charlotte that's the writers of these shows that may, you know, like a Issa Rae type of like situation.
I can see that. We're influenced by a lot.
And so, because there's a lot of good writers here, and so like, you know, the movie scene is, you know, Atlanta has a lot of hold on that, but Charlotte gets a lot of like, you know, it's a lot of great actors here.
I think Eric Lottery just shot something here.
Yeah.
Or
Shout out to Lottie, he's doing the independent. Naya's in it.
Yeah,
Naya's a part
our
of
boy
the
Zay
process.
shot to Zay. Zay is doing that too.
Shout out Zay.
Shout out Wells, all them boys that's doing it. But yeah, I think it'll be a combination of all of it at once because the elephant in the room, you know, it's clear like we are here when it comes to Charlotte. The entertainment, the entertainment scene knows that.
Yeah, we're definitely a stop on everybody's tour now.
I think it really comes into just everybody staying consistent and working together and you know, knowing what they want, you know, as well. Because some people, you know, it's a lot, like I tell people all the time, it's a lot of superstars in Atlanta. And Charlotte has the same, you know. Charlotte, I feel like will get to a level to where it won't just be like how it was with the baby, where you had the baby and then like people just like, where's the next one at? I think that's the next stage. You know, I think it's gonna be stuff from all different, not just rap. I think it's gonna be podcasts, and I think it's like I said, it's gonna be writers. It's gonna be like how Atlanta is, where you got everybo's a star in their own lane. You know, like how Atlanta is. Jeezy's doing this thing. You know, Jeezy was Jeezy, T.I.'s T.I. You know, Donald Glover's Donald Glover. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
Tyler Perry's Tyler Perry. You know what I'm
diversity.
saying? Like, it's so many different avenues of just stars. I think that's what's next with Charlotte, is just everybody just you know.
They help each other out in Atlanta too.
Mhm.
They uplift each other.
Yeah, they always say we're
They be like, oh,
clicked up.
they in the studio. Oh, you got a track? Oh, let's do a track later. You know, stuff like that. Charlotte's kind of just like, now I got me and my crew. We
Yeah,
gonna
they say we're
rise. You
cliquish.
know, forget. You know, it's
Yeah.
always been like that. Though.
It has.
So
It
weird,
has.
but
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of where we at Charlotte because we should have been a lot bigger, but nobody really.
Mhm.
When somebody gets some money, they like, I'm just gonna feed my people, which is fine. But at the same time, if people want to work with you, you shouldn't act like, they're lesser because they don't have what you have or
That's true.
any type of sense.
Well, shit. What my boy Sam Cooke say?
Hmm?
What did my boy Sam Cooke say?
What did Sam Cooke say?
Change gonna come.
Mm.
Change gonna.
He's showing up.
It's Black History Month.
He's showing up his, and he showing up did say that.
That's
I'm a
dope.
true believer of that.
Absolutely, man. We gotta be the change we want to see.
You
Yeah.
should have
Your audience
just started singing "Wade in the Water" after that.
Hey, man. Hey, these old phrases and songs remain true.
They do. They still do.
Yeah.
Before we do get up out here, I just have one more question. Again, I appreciate you being a part of our FawrOut experience, FawrOut
I appreciate you guys.
podcast.
Yeah, man.
Love to
Great
have you
guest,
on
man.
again.
For sure, for sure.
So I know as of late, I know we talked about off air. I know you're getting ready to put a ribbon on it. Did you want to tell people what's next with your podcast journey, or you just want to wait and see kind of thing?
No, I mean like, what's next for me is really just like
You heard it here first, people. New exclusive.
I'm going more in the avenue, man, where it'd be more Christ centered, more Christ based, where I feel like it'll be a combination of I'll still have guests, but it'll just be more on a monthly basis, more just a vlogging, man, vlogging and like still having a show, but it'll just be majority me, doing a vlogging type of atmosphere where I'm giving testimonials, talking to people about Christ, talking to people about still what's going on as of late, just in the scope of someone that's a believer. And so, as of late was a beautiful ride. It's a beautiful run. I came into it with the mind state of, like I told people when I interviewed, this is a time capsule, and like with a time capsule, you try your best to get, because me being from here, I wanted to get history of all different avenues, not just artists. So you can look at that time capsule on As of Late, you can find Anaya, you can find a Luke, you can find a daggone Dr. Brian, on there, where you're getting cats that's from the community that's really trying to uplift it. And so, that's in the ground, and people can go into YouTube and research it, and it's for the next generation now. It's for cats like y'all with FawrOut, and the people that's continuing to do their thing. Shout out to other like Marcus, like like Vibrations, and there's so many other ones. Jack of all spades, like I said, Banks cats that I've seen around the same time I was doing mine and still doing their thing when it comes to community work. And so that's the next chapter for me. Is just again, kind of like what I talked about with the marriage. That was on my wheel. As of Late was on my wheel. I want to do stuff on his wheel. Okay. And so,
amen, bro.
This next one will be based a combination. We talk about teamwork make the dream work.
Right.
I need to remember my team, and so that's all this is.
Appreciate you being on again. I think we did it.
Oh yeah.
Walter, time you had any questions, Titus? Anything closing up?
Any closing questions?
Any FawrOut related topics or anything we've seen recently?
Anything we've seen recently? Look out for pay attention to Turkey, man. They had 2 really massive earthquakes and they lost a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I want to say, hold on, I pulled it up on my phone. Like it was 2. I think one was a 7.8, and another I think a 7.0. Yeah, and over 21,000 dead.
21,000.
Yeah. Like it's really bad. So yeah, just keep them in your prayers. Turkey, they really having a hard time over there. Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah, it was real bad too. It's real bad, but yeah. That's all I got.
For sure.
Pray for Turkey.
Pray for Turkey.
Pray for yeah.
Yeah, facts on that.
Try to end on a lighter note, man. Just keep the positivity going. Thank y'all for watching, tuning in. Thank you, Titus, again, being a part of this for us.
Great guest.
First
Appreciate you guys
official
having
guest is 2023.
Oh yeah.
Again, I think I'm gonna close this out. Always long live Shane for sure.
Always.
Yeah, we'll catch y'all on the next episode, man. Appreciate y'all for watching. Like, subscribe, share, all the stuff the YouTube people say. Follow us on Instagram. We're not just a podcast, it's just one umbrella. one thing under that umbrella to help push this message out of what FawrOut is.
We do it all, baby.
Right out of Charlotte.
One stop shop.
Trying to be worldwide for sure. Appreciate y'all. Catch y'all next time.